Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. And a very special welcome to the Cities Forum 2025. Welcome also to our online audience who are following us from right across Europe and beyond. My name is Eileen Crowley.
And my name is Ed Thorpe, and we're delighted to be here with you this afternoon to co-moderate this opening session of the Cities Forum 2025 in this fantastic theatre at the ICE Congress Centre here in Krakow. The Cities Forum happens every 2 years. Many of you will have been before, and you'll see that it seems to get bigger each time. And this event, we have more than 800 participants registered to be here with us in Krakow for the forum, over half of which are representing urban authorities. But we also have, in consideration of the multi-level governance aspect of urban policy, representatives from national and regional levels, the European institutions and organizations, also NGOs, associations, research bodies, and even some private actors. We have representatives from all 27 member states, plus the accession countries and beyond. And some of you may wish to use interpretation. We have provided interpretation into these languages, so between English and French, Italian, Polish, and Spanish. If you would like to make use of that function, please make sure that you have a headset. Grab one if you don't, and make use of that during the plenary sessions. That will be plenary sessions only, but the channels are there on the screen if you need to use that function.
And before we begin, I just want to mention and recognize some of the key organizations that made this event possible. Firstly, of course, the beautiful city of Krakow, our host city, and indeed the co-organizers of this event. Thank you. Yeah, it is a really beautiful city. I also want to mention the co-organizers of this event, the Directorate General for Regional and Urban Policy, DG Regio, together with the European Urban Initiative Secretariat, which is managed by the region Hauts-de-France. So thank you to those.
Indeed.
If you do share anything on social media, can I please ask you to use the hashtag #CitiesForum, which you can see here behind me, and that will help spread the message even far beyond this event space.
So we have an action-packed 48 hours ahead of us with a mix of plenary sessions, thematic parallel sessions, also networking opportunities, site visits, and more. We'll explain in a little bit more detail exactly where to find those activities and go through the detail in a bit more detail after we've had some opening presentations.
Yes, and we also have an online program, registration for which is still open. If you want to share that with any family or friends, you can find it on the event website. We can get a little sneak preview of our online program now, perhaps, if we could go to our online studio. I believe we have Gerdy waiting there for us. Gerdy, can you hear us?
For sure, I can hear you. Hello, Ed and Eileen, and hello, everyone in the plenary room. How are you doing?
We're good.
Great.
You're good.
Pretty good.
My name is Gerdy Schreuders, and I'm the moderator of the online program. So I'm in the same building, actually, as you are, but just down in the basement in this very funky television studio, from which we broadcast over 20 interactive sessions the next 3 days. And as you say, Eileen, there is still room online. So if you want to register and send the link to your colleagues or friends, they're very welcome to join with the other over 300 online participants.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gerdy. We'll
Thank
see
you.
more of you throughout the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you very much. So the Cities Forum is always a great moment to come together as urban authorities with other stakeholders from different levels. Many of you, like me, are no doubt seeing familiar faces and old friends, but also it's an opportunity to meet new people, to exchange about the challenges that we're all trying to address across Europe, latest ideas, practices, and some of our visions for the future for sustainable urban development in Europe. In that context, it's also important to notice that the Cities Forum comes at a very pertinent time because, as most of you will probably know, there was a recent consultation on this future European agenda for cities. Nearly 200 responses were provided to that consultation. That consultation is now closed, but this event is an opportunity also to give our feedback and to share our views on how we imagine the future agenda for cities. And we'll be providing throughout the event lots of opportunities, both physically in person and online, for people to share their thinking on different topics that we can input into the thinking around the future agenda for cities. In order to kick things off, we'll put up the Slido QR code now on the screen and just have a little icebreaker Slido question, a very simple question. In terms of, we think about cities and wanting to make cities more livable. When you think about your own city, where you come from, what do you think would help to make your city more livable? To join the Slido room, you can either use the QR code that you can see there, or if you'd rather, just go on to Slido. You can just Google Slido and then write in Cities Forum, and you will come into the event page. Go into the plenary room. You'll see there's different rooms. Select the plenary room, and you'll see that poll question. And if you could answer in just 1 or 2 words, or short, not big sentences, we'll see if we can generate a word cloud of how people think what they would like to see to make their cities more livable. And we'll give you a moment just to see what topics emerge.
There's one key one, I think. Yes, it seems to be an issue for everybody. Affordable housing seems to be, and more green spaces. Greenery, so that's coming up quite frequently. We do all want more greenery, I think. More nature.
I think the good news is that a lot of these topics you're going to see coming up throughout the agenda of this year's Cities Forum. I think there are, both within the plenary sessions and in the parallel sessions, these are going to be key topics at the heart of our discussions, and we'll see where we get to at the end of our 48 hours of activity.
Absolutely, yes. We do have a dedicated session to affordable housing, you'll be happy to hear, and greening also features. So, as Ed said, these topics will be key over the next few days. But before we go any further, dive into the agenda or anything like that, I would like to give the floor to some special guests who are going to offer you some words of welcome. So please give a warm welcome to our first speaker, Ms. Themis Christophidou, who is Director General of DG Regio. Please put your hands together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for calling me a special guest, but I feel I'm a host, actually. Thank you for being here. Dear Minister, dear Mayor of Krakow, thank you for the hospitality. Thank you to Poland. Thank you to this beautiful city that one can visit so many times, and it's always still worth the visit. A warm welcome to the 6th edition of the Cities Forum. It's a real pleasure to bring together representatives from across Europe, people united by a deep commitment to the future of our cities. Each of you brings a unique perspective shaped by your experience, your community, and your vision. And together, we all represent the heart of Europe's urban transformation. A special welcome for our guests from Ukraine. It means a great deal for us to have you here. Your presence reminds us of the values that bind Europe together: resilience, solidarity, and the unshakable belief in tomorrow. It is not a secret, Europe stands at a crossroads, a moment that demands courage, clarity, and collaboration, and cities will play a defining role. From our largest capitals to our smallest towns, cities are where the future is written. They are the places where the bold ideas are born and where those ideas become part of the everyday fabric of life. At the same time, our cities carry many of today's heaviest burdens: congestion, inequality, housing shortages, and environmental stress. Actually, the Slido told us a lot about what you think. And yet, it is precisely this combination of immense potential and pressing need that makes cities so powerful and so vital. Archimede might allow me to use his words. Give me a firm place to stand and a lever, and I will move the world. Europe's cities are that firm place. And the programs, initiatives, and partnerships we explore today, they are the lever. So let's use them to move our cities forward and to shape the Europe we want to live in. That is why our Executive Vice President, Raffaele Fitto, is putting forward an ambitious EU agenda for cities, because he knows that every city counts, every city contributes, not just to the lives of the people who live there, but to the health, prosperity, and future of their wider regions, and of course of Europe as a whole. This agenda is being designed for cities of all sizes, because we believe in unlocking the full potential of every corner of Europe. After all, that's the compass of European Union cohesion policy. Over the course of today and the coming days, we want to hear from you. We want to learn from your experiences, your successes, your challenges, and your boldest ideas. Not only because this will help us shape the agenda, but also to share insights that will benefit all our cities, to strengthen our shared response to the issues that define this era. We want to hear from you how you're using the support available to you, especially under cohesion policy, because we know that there is a great deal to be proud of. Already under the current cohesion programs, we are seeing real impact, backed by over 24 billion dedicated. If somebody could bring some water, I would appreciate it. Backed by over 24 billion dedicated to integrated urban development strategies, developed by cities, implemented by cities. One example, in Denmark, cities are revitalizing town centers, turning them into vibrant hubs for investment and leisure. And here, in Poland, cities are transforming public transport, making it sustainable, efficient, and accessible, ensuring people can move freely to work, to study, to care, and to connect with others. We are also seeing powerful results through the European Urban Initiative. Our thanks to the Secretariat of the EUI and the Hauts-de-France region, not only for the leadership in implementation, but also your partnership with us in organizing this important event. Through this initiative, nearly 400 million euros of EU funding is at work. Over 1,000 urban professionals have taken part in capacity building. And more than 160 cities are innovating in fields from the new European Bauhaus and green cities to energy transition, sustainable tourism, and digital transformation. This complements the long-standing success of URBACT, which for over 2 decades has supported cities in sharing best practices for sustainable urban development. Thank you, that's very nice. These are indeed impressive achievements. But the world does not stand still, and neither can we. This is why, on the 1st of April, the European Commission proposed a midterm review package of the cohesion policy. It introduces the much-needed flexibility to address evolving priorities, such as defense, affordable housing, and economic competitiveness. And we saw that affordable housing was top of your agenda. It also opens up opportunities for additional support through the European Urban Initiative. And I strongly encourage you all to explore these new possibilities. At the same time, we invite you to engage in the wider discussion on the future of cohesion policy. One of our top priorities is to ensure that the policy is future-proof, modernized, simplified, and responsive to the realities of every region, every city, big and small. Achieving this will require deeper collaboration than ever before between the European institutions, the national authorities, regional actors, and the cities themselves. Through the new European Agenda for Cities, we aim to give you a stronger role, a stronger voice in policy making. And we aim to streamline existing support, making it easier to access and more tailored to your individual needs. Tomorrow, Executive Vice President for Cohesion and Reforms, Raffaele Fitto, will join us for a dedicated session on his upcoming Agenda for Cities. In the meantime, the discussion begins already today, so I urge you to speak up now and in the days ahead. Share your insights, your thoughts, your needs, and the opportunities you see on the horizon. Because, as we've said in our title, let us empower cities and shape Europe's future. I look forward to all the exchanges. Let us work together to turn this forum into a springboard for action and a catalyst for real, lasting change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Christophidou. And yes, indeed, cities are often the places where bold ideas are born, and we hope that many new bold ideas will emerge over the next couple of days. Our next speaker now to welcome you here to Krakow is Mr. Jan Žižko, who is Secretary for State at the Ministry of Funds and Regional Policy in Poland. Mr. Žižko, please give him a warm welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, it's both an honor and a privilege to welcome you all to the Cities Forum here in Krakow, a city that holds great importance for all Polish people. I would like to thank at the start Mayor of Krakow, Aleksander Michalski, and Temis Christophidou for hosting us here in Krakow for this wonderful, wonderful conference. I must also say that it's great to have everyone joining us online. I think the very start of this conference gave us a very Eurovision vibe to the meeting, so do support to the European Commission for that. And I think there's nothing more European and community building than that acquaintance. Krakow is a place of very rich history and culture. You can say that it's defined by the resilience, the creativity. It's defined by the centuries of being a melting pot of cultures that developed this very unique place, not only on Poland's, but also on Europe's map. All this makes it a meaningful and inspiring location for this important event. I'm confident that you will have the occasion to enjoy the unique character of this city throughout your time at the forum. Its city center, the old town, the Wawel Castle are just a stone's throw away from the venue of this conference. So I'm sure there will be many occasions for you to explore this. I'm also glad that the Cities Forum is taking place during Poland's presidency of the Council of the European Union, as you're all very well aware. There is a special time for our country as we lead important discussions and engage in dialogue about the future development of the EU, of our European Union. Urban development stood at the heart of our presidency's agenda, or even stands at the heart of the agenda. Our foremost aim is to develop a set of comprehensive urban recommendations to be embedded within the European Union's legislative framework post-2027, as well as the forthcoming policy agenda for cities. These recommendations were made to promote sustainable urban development, especially within functional areas, where proactively addressing the broader and evolving challenges that Europe is expected to encounter beyond 2027. The discussions during our presidency culminated in what is now known as the Warsaw Declaration, a joint commitment adopted by the ministers responsible for cohesion policy, for territorial cohesion and urban matters at the informal ministerial meeting that we held in Warsaw on May 21st of this year, so not very long ago. Let me use this occasion to present key points of the Warsaw Declaration related to urban development in Europe, with particular emphasis to the recommendations related to the new policy agenda for cities that we are going to discuss during this forum. First of all, we must recognize the importance and the important role that cities play in shaping Europe's future, as well as their contribution to achieving European Union's priorities. That is why we must put into practice the three pillars of transformative urban development: the just, green, and productive pillars. These principles, set out in the new Leipzig Charter, must not remain on paper. They must shape real policy, real investment, and real impact on the ground. This starts with making sure they are fully reflected in future EU policies. This can be achieved by strengthening the connection between intergovernmental discussions on urban matters and the relevant council formations, while also creating greater opportunities to deliberate on the impact of EU regulations and their implementation within our cities. We know that sustainable urban development is not one size fits all. Every city, every region faces its own challenges and holds its very own potential. That is why flexibility and local adaptation matter. And that's why Europe must step up with the adequate support, targeted, responsive, and grounded in territorial realities. But here's the bottom line. Cities are not just beneficiaries, they're partners, and they should be partners in the future as well. Strategic partners. That means involving them fully, not only in delivery, but also in the design of the very policies we expect them to implement, and needs to happen. And to make that happen, we must strengthen the engagement tools we already have, especially by using our coordination platforms more effectively throughout the entire policy cycle. We must also invest in capacity building, supporting skills, systems, and cooperation network that empower cities of all sizes. This is not just a technical necessity, it's a political imperative if we want the EU priorities to succeed on the ground. To get there, we need to simplify, and we need to better coordinate the tools we already offer, from funding instruments to planning frameworks. Let's make these tools clearer, more accessible, and more effective. In conclusion, I sincerely hope that the policy agenda for cities will be developed through genuine co-creation, engaging member states, regional and local governments, cities of all sizes and all relevant stakeholders in a collaborative and meaningful manner, and remembering that there is no cohesion without competitiveness, and vice versa, no competitiveness without cohesion. As we move through forum sessions, I encourage you to be bold in your thinking, collaborative in your approach, and grounded in the needs of our citizens, because the cities we build today will define the quality of life for generations to come. Thank you so much for being here, and let's work together to empower cities and shape Europe's future together. Thank you so much. Dziękuję bardzo. Have a wonderful conference.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary of State, Mr. Zizko. Our final words of welcome will come now from the Mayor of Krakow, Mr. Alexander Mijalski. So please put your hands together and welcome the Mayor to the stage.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests of our Cities Forum in Krakow, the Polish presidency of the Council of the European Union, which began on January 1st this year, is coming to an end. And there is no better way to close this period than by hosting here in Krakow the 6th edition of the Cities Forum, a key initiative of the European Commission dedicated to the future of our European cities. As the city mayor, I am especially glad to welcome you all here in our city, all representatives of local and regional governments, European institutions, academic circles, and urban policy experts from all across Europe. I'm delighted to see here in Krakow nearly 800 specialists gathered here. 14 years ago, during Poland's first presidency of the Council of the EU, Krakow was in the process of implementing key EU-funded investments. Now, during this presidency, we are once again proud to host top politicians, decision makers, and urban experts as an example of successful EU cohesion policy. You will have the chance to witness first-hand examples of projects carried out in the city with the support of EU funds during the study visits, I think today or tomorrow, I'm not sure, but you will see it personally. Over these 2 decades since Poland joined the EU, Krakow has implemented over 420 projects, both investments and others, received more than 5 billion Polish zloty, that is approximately 1 billion of euro in EU funding, with a total value of all projects approaching 10 billion Polish zloty. That means it's 2.5 billion of euro. We have fully seized the opportunity to develop. Almost every aspect of the city life has benefited from this support, including environmental protection, transport, social services, culture, sport, education, revitalization, health, business development, economic zone, city administration, really every area was included. Every resident benefits from the changes every day, even Eurosceptics. Holding this event at the ICE Congress Center is symbolic, as this construction was partly also funded by the EU funds. Over 350 million Polish zloty, nearly 80 million of euros. Krakow's transformation shows how effective the cohesion policy can be. Krakow is one of the Poland's leading cities and has a strong chance to become a leader in sustainable urban development. We plan to use EU funds to support green and digital transformation projects. We have even signed the climate contract. We're in these 100 cities. With its rich cultural history, heritage, and modern city management, Krakow is an ideal place for meaningful discussions and sharing ideas. Your presence here shows also that cities are not only places facing challenges, but also places where new and innovative solutions to contemporary European problems are created. As the host of the forum, Krakow plays an important role in this debate, serving as a special reference point for European urban policy. I wish you, of course, productive and successful discussions, but as the Secretary Jan Szyszko also mentioned, in Krakow there are a lot of things worth to see, so you can have a nice walk into the city center, enjoying our main square or the Kazimierz district. You can also have a good meal in a restaurant or grab a beer, and I've heard also that you have tomorrow a disco in the Kazimierz district, so have a nice evening, have a nice disco. Maybe I will join you also, but there is a small problem. We've got also a concert of the Scorpions in the Tauron Arena, and you probably know the Wind of Change, so it's very hard to choose, but I wish you a wind of change in our European cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mayor Michalski, and thanks once again to Krakow for hosting us so wonderfully for this year's Cities Forum. And also really important that you talked about how Krakow is taking advantage of European support to work towards the achievement of some of its objectives here at local level. And that's going to be a key part of the site visits that are organised this afternoon. I'll provide some more information about that a bit later, but many of those visits are to projects and initiatives that have benefited from European support, so that you can, the venue's lovely, but it's also nice to get out of the venue and see some of the real change that's happening on the ground in Krakow and get a sense of the city. So I'll provide some more information on that shortly. Now, just to remind about the way that we want to get your input. This year's Cities Forum comes to you under the title Empowering Cities, Shaping Europe's Future. So as well as all the opportunities for networking, exchange, multi-level dialogue that happens at the Cities Festival, we're also asking you to contribute your thoughts to this future agenda for cities. And one of the ways that we're enabling you to do that is through different Slido rooms that will remain open throughout the event. So they're not separate questions within the plenary meeting. If you go into Slido, if you're already in the plenary room, click on plenary room and you should see a drop-down menu of other rooms that you can join. And there are 3 rooms there at the bottom that will remain open throughout the event. So whether it's you get inspiration in one of the parallel sessions, or whether it's at the networking event or chatting with someone over a coffee, share your ideas. The Director General mentioned the fact that there is lots to be proud of and lots that is really good and working well in terms of EU support to cities. So the things that you really love and you think are working well, share those ideas in the what to continue room. But we have to recognize that not everything is perfect. There might be things that you want to see changed, things that you don't think are working so well. So we have a room for that, what to change. It could be things you want to stop or amend. Share your ideas. And then finally, you might have ideas, and I think through the consultation we saw there are some emerging new ideas for what the future agenda for cities could look like. Share those in the what to start room. And what we're asking you is to use the Q&A feature. So just try and remember that you're not posing a question, we're using it as an ideas board through the Q&A feature. But the reason we're using the Q&A feature is that it enables you to upvote ideas you agree with. So if you see something that you think, yep, I agree with that, please don't write it again and put it in again. Just agree, upvote the one that you can see already in there. And hopefully we'll come back to this in the closing session and see what kind of ideas are emerging from this year's Cities Forum in terms of how we shape Europe's future and the future of European support to cities to achieve sustainable urban development in Europe. So I promised you that we would look at the agenda in a bit more detail. So there's lots going on. I mean, I want to highlight some of the plenary sessions to begin with. Immediately following this opening ceremony, we have a session on funding and finance, which I know is a key topic for cities. So please don't leave at the end of the opening ceremony, stay for that. We have another plenary session at the end of the day tomorrow, which was already mentioned. We'll be joined by Executive Vice President Fito for a stakeholders dialogue on the future agenda for cities, where we'll be having a panel representing different stakeholder groups with an interest in the future of urban development in Europe. And then at the beginning of day 3, we will have a mayor's debate, where we're delighted we're going to be joined on stage by 4 mayors representing cities of different sizes and types, and having a discussion about their experiences with using EU support and their vision for the future of the EU agenda for cities. And then the closing session before lunchtime on day 3. I also wanted to highlight at this point some key networking opportunities that we're providing. So after the site visits this afternoon, we will come back here. There will be a networking cocktail back in this venue from 7 o'clock. I'll remind about that again after the next session. And there's also an official cocktail in a different venue at the end of the day tomorrow. And finally, just to mark in your minds, after the closing session on the third day, there will be a networking lunch. So don't feel that you have to race off unless you have a plane to catch. Please stay with us, join that, continue the conversations in the networking lunch. Now, there's a lot of other things that you can see there. We've already mentioned, we visited the online program. This is the first ever hybrid version of the Cities Forum. And it isn't too late for people, colleagues that you know at home that maybe weren't able to travel to Krakow to join that. So do encourage people that you know that could be interested to register still and follow the online program. And there's lots of other activities going on. And we'll perhaps move on to the next slide and go through some of those in a bit more detail. I mean, the best way to discover these is to just go and experience them. But just to highlight that we have an exhibition area with stands from some of the key organizations, programs, actors working on sustainable urban development. So go and visit them. There's 15 different stands across 2 floors. So go and visit, find out what they can perhaps offer that's interesting for you and about their latest work. We have a country corner. So in the country corner, you'll find your national urban contact point. So if you don't know who your national urban contact point is, it's a great chance to go and meet them there. And if you do know who they are, it's a great chance to carry on your conversations from before, find out the latest activities and plans at national level in your country. And there's also plans for some particular national inputs in national languages at a silent stage. And I think probably the best way to find out whether there's something going on in your language is through the app, or by going to the country corner, finding your urban contact point, and asking them what the plans are. Just in general, for the parallel sessions, you should all have registered for the sessions that you selected, that you wanted to go to when you signed up. If you can't remember which sessions you're going to in between the plenaries, it should be on the app, on the website. When you log in, you should find your own personalized agenda with a reminder of the sessions that you've signed up for. So do go on to the app. It's also an opportunity through the app to book in a networking session. If there's someone here that you want to talk to, you can use the app to reach out to them, maybe set up a meeting. There are spaces provided up on the 3rd floor for networking meetings if you want to have a discussion with someone in particular that's attending the forum. You also see here there's an artistic mural, there's an installation. You might have seen it on the way in. We're delighted to be joined by local artist Marcin Chaya, who is a specialist in developing murals, and he's going to be co-creating, with your input, an artistic representation of the future vision for cities. So there's going to be asking different questions, getting you to choose through the selection of different colored ping pong balls. And on the basis of your selections, you'll be incorporating that into a mural. And at the end of the event, we'll see what we've created, this artistic representation of our vision for cities. There's also an installation to help understand and increase awareness of Portico. Hopefully many of you know that Portico was created by EUI as the one-stop shop for urban practitioners. It's really a knowledge platform bringing together all the knowledge of activities as well as the different actors, many of whom are represented in the exhibition stage, and the networking element. There are over 6,000 members of the community on Portico. So it's a great opportunity to go on and to connect with people. But we're creating a physical version, if you like, to go and explore here in the foyer. So you can understand those different elements, visit it, ask questions. There's information there's a tree with QR codes about city-to-city exchanges that have been supported by EUI. You can find out information about those and maybe get inspiration about your own city-to-city exchange that you would like to organize and make initial contacts to plan future activities of that type. So do take a moment to visit that. And I'll show you where everything is in a moment. But first, there's a physical expression wall. So I've said that we're providing opportunities via Slido to feed in, but there's also a structured wall where you can go and you can provide your views and your answers on a series of themes and structured questions. There are people there to support the process, and I think people will also be coming around and maybe asking you questions and writing down your answers and adding them to the wall. But this wall will enable us again to get a sense of, from the participants here in Krakow, of how they see the future on covering a variety of topics, from smart districts to connected quarters and inclusive urban development. So do take a moment to go and check that out. And let's have a look at where things are happening. So I think most of you perhaps were here for lunch, so you've already got a chance to explore a little bit. It's a fantastic venue, up across 4 floors, including the ground floor. Some of the parallel sessions are taking place up on the 3rd floor, so be aware of that. And then in between, we have the exhibition area that I talked about across 2 floors, the expression walls on the 1st floor. There's a photo booth as well, so it's an opportunity to take a photo with colleagues or new acquaintances to share that you were at the Cities Forum this year. Maybe share it with the hashtag Cities Forum on social media to raise awareness. And the country corner and the silent stage are on the 2nd floor. So I think then just one other thing I wanted to highlight before we perhaps go to our final Slido question and wrap up this session is that there are a number of places still available for the site visits that will be starting at 3:30. So if you have not yet signed up for one, the easiest thing to do is to go via the app. You can see the site visits. Here's a list of where the availability was before we started the session, but you'll see live updates on how many places there are in each visit within the app. So if you're still interested, there's some really great projects to see in Krakow. So don't hesitate to sign up, claim one of those final places, and we'll go through the practicalities of where we meet for the site visits after the following session on funding and finance. So just to wrap up, and the last aspect of the opening ceremony, we just wanted to ask you a final Slido question. So if you can go back onto Slido and come back into the plenary room. So if you went into one of those other rooms, come back into plenary and just share with us in just 1 or 2 words what you're most looking forward to learning or experiencing at this year's Cities Forum. And again, your input here, we'll come back and we'll revisit this in the closing session and see whether our hopes and expectations have been met. But share with us a little bit about what you're hoping to experience at this year's forum.
Networking. I thought the networking cocktail might come in there somewhere into one of the favorite parts. Funding opportunities, that's really great. Good to hear. Innovative ideas, well, I hope there's many, many of those. So,
okay.
I think it's very good that this follows up with the funding session, since it's coming up as probably number 2 of what most people are looking forward to.
Okay, so as I said, we're going to follow this session straight away with a session on funding and finance. But I think it's worth taking a moment just to say that this opening ceremony is now closed, and I think we can consider this year's Cities Forum underway.
Officially open.